Welcome to eBay Connect. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about the inventory API. I've been working on this project for the last couple of years. This is my baby, so I'm doubly excited. To all the developers in the house, a big thank you for all the fantastic work you guys do with our buyers and sellers. You are an invaluable part of our ecosystem. Many of you have built applications to help our sellers list on eBay. You probably used our trading API. eBay is one of the world's most powerful selling platforms. We support sellers who are small, who sell just a few listings per year, all the way up to large merchants who are selling hundreds of thousands of listings on eBay. Right? Our platform is fairly complex. We have a lot of features, a lot of listing formats. We are in multiple sites. Each site has its own policies and rules. So that makes it fairly complex. And to a developer, navigating through all of this complexity is fairly onerous and sometimes daunting and challenging. To address a lot of these concerns, we have built a new inventory management platform that will allow you to easily integrate with eBay. We want to take the burden off of your shoulders and make it extremely easy for you to integrate. And let us, eBay, do the heavy lifting, and we want you to focus on what you do best, which is innovating on the platform. Today, I'm going to talk about the inventory platform. We'll talk about the benefits it brings to developers and sellers. I'll talk about the API in details. We can go over all the benefits of the API. I will talk about how the existing API, the trading API, is different from the inventory API. And this is a new topic. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I'll have enough time at the end for Q&A. Christine touched on this earlier today, the evolution of selling on eBay. When the company started in 1995, we had a lot of sellers listing in auction format. Sellers were finding items in their garages and homes and in their closets and trying to list them on eBay. They had unique items that they had no longer need for, and they were listing them in the auction format. Auctions worked really well for them because it is hard to get the exact market value of items. So auction kind of helps with price discovery. As the company grew, and as people realized the potential of e-commerce, we started attracting more and more professional sellers. These sellers were selling mostly fixed price listings, new and in-season items. We saw a lot of branded merchandise on the site. Over time, the buying and selling expectations of our users have changed. Buyers want to be able to sell using mobile devices. Buyers want product-based experiences. They don't want to sift through whole pages and pages of search results. They want to be able to narrow down their purchasing decision on content, on product information, on ratings and reviews. So they need this product-based experiences. On the selling side, sellers have been asking for retail standard selling experiences. They want to be able to easily list using a product catalog. They don't have time for auctions. They want fixed price, long duration listings. They want industry standard inventory management practices by SKU. They want to sell internationally. They want to make use of structured data. So in response to the changing needs of our buyers and sellers, we built this retail standard inventory management platform. The platform introduces a concept called inventory model. This is a new way of selling on eBay. So let's look at what the inventory model is. I'm assuming most folks here have used the trading API. How many of you have used trading API in here? Majority of you. So you know what I'm talking about. Currently on eBay, if you want to create a listing, you use an application built by eBay or an application built by developers like you. Seller gives us this full listing information. And eBay creates a listing for them and returns an item ID. So the item ID is now the handle to everything that you do on eBay. If you want to make any changes to your listing, you use the item ID. With the inventory model, what we have done is we have structured the listing information into smaller entities that you manage directly. Here, the information about what you're selling is grouped into an entity called the product. Information like the title, pictures, or attributes, product description, all of these are grouped into an entity called the product. Information about how much you have and in what condition, this is grouped into an entity called the inventory. And information about how you want to sell it, which site you want to list it in, what business policies you want to apply, what price you want to offer. All of this is under an entity called offer. So the what is the product, the how much you have is the inventory, and how you want to sell is offer. In the trading API world, the add item API has over 350 attributes to it. That is just really hard to manage. With this, you manage the small entities, which are compact and efficient. And it also promotes reuse, because you can create your product once and reuse it for multiple listings. So if you compare the trading API world, where you have this large monolithic data set, hard to manage, in this new world, it is small, compact entities that you manage. So it's really about efficiency and reuse. Those are the two big benefits. By structuring the listing information into smaller entities, it promotes efficiency and reuse. There's a lot of benefits of the inventory model compared to the listing model. So let me go over some of those. The first is persistent catalog. Whenever you create a product on eBay, it is stored in your product catalog. So eBay is giving every seller who uses this platform their own catalog. This information is stored on eBay, and you can, once you create it, you can list it at any time, anywhere afterwards. On a few seller visits, I've had the opportunity to observe how sellers create content. A lot of sellers have this workflow where one person is creating the pictures, the next person is updating the attributes and product information, and there's yet another person who's making sure the content is correct for the title and description. So the inventory platform allows this incremental creation of the product catalog. And once you create your product catalog on eBay, you can list it at any time after that. Right? This is similar to how sellers manage in the real world. They receive catalog from their suppliers. They set up their catalog in their systems. And as and when inventory arrives, they create a listing on eBay to sell. All of this is stored on eBay. And any application that is built on the inventory API now has access to this information. It could be a mobile application that you build, or it could be even your point of sale system. You can integrate any of those systems with inventory. Now that you have your inventory in the cloud, you don't really need local storage. So you can park your entire inventory on eBay, and using the inventory API, you can access it from any application. So the big benefit here is eBay is giving you your own private catalog, and then you can access that information from anywhere in the cloud. So you create your product once and list it anywhere, anytime. Today, with the listing API, listing model, listings can end. The information about the listings is lost. After a duration of time, that information about the listing is purged from eBay. So if you want to come back and relist it, that information is gone. You have to re-enter all of that information. What is also gone is the sales history. Sellers worked really hard to aggregate all of the sales information, but once a listing ends, all of that information is lost after a period of time. Why is sales history so important? Sales history is not only a key to your listings ranking, but it's also a purchasing decision for a buyer. Imagine a buyer seeing two different listings, one with a lot of sales and the other with not enough sales. They would naturally look at the one with more sales favorably. So it is a key purchasing factor in purchasing decision. So your sales history is very important. With the inventory model, the SKU is durable. The sales history that happens on any SKU that is tied, any listing that is tied to the SKU, it stays on eBay. Even if a listing ends, let's say you're using the inventory model, your listing ends, after a few months you come back and you want to list again. All you have to give us is your availability information. The platform takes, so since we have all the information in the catalog, we can pull all of that out of the catalog and create a listing for you. You don't have to provide us any information. All of that sales history is retained for you. We have a durable entity called the SKU, and any activity or any sales that happen against that SKU stays in eBay. So since the SKU is durable, what it allows eBay to do is hang a lot of information on that SKU. Your sales history, your performance, or any other activity that happens on that SKU is persisted and stored. So now you can report on it. Now sellers will be able to analyze their selling performance on eBay by SKU and not by listing ID, because listings can come and go, but SKU stays. So that is a huge advantage for sellers who are on this model. The big benefit here is there is no loss of information when listings end, and then your transaction history and your performance is retained. So that is a big benefit. This is an important area too. For sellers who own their brand, eBay is offering them a way to promote their brand and products. After products are created in the catalog, for some products that qualify, eBay will create these product pages for you. If you own your brand, this is a great way of promoting your brand and your products. These are similar to eBay's catalog product pages. These are rich in content. There's a lot of information about the product. There are ratings and reviews and buying guides, and all of that rich content about the product is stored on this page. This page gets its own URL. It is customized to this page, and it is optimized for SEO. So you get your own product and brand page on eBay, and this will be, since this is SEO optimized, this will be indexed by search engines. So if somebody goes to a search engine and types in a keyword that matches your product, your listing will come up. And you'll get a good ranking in search engines for a couple of reasons. One, there's a lot of relevant content on this page. The content on this page is very relevant to the title of the page. That is one. And second thing is, if you look at the domain, it is hosted on the eBay domain. So that gives you another boost in search. So it is yet another way of driving traffic to your products and your page. So eBay is promoting your product on eBay and also off of eBay. So there is additional avenues of traffic coming to you. If you compare this to existing behavior, right? Today, eBay's item pages also have static SEO-optimized URLs. But listings can end. Once the listing ends, all you have is a broken link. People share and save item page URLs, but if the item ends, all you have is a broken link. If a buyer is navigating to that link, all they get is a broken link, and a seller is lost an opportunity for a sale. So it's a bad experience for the buyer, and it's a loss for the seller. Compare that to the new world, where these are persistent pages. These are not going away. This will be promoted on eBay and off of eBay. So the big benefit here is you're able to promote your brand on eBay and off of eBay. That means more traffic, more buyers, and more exposure to your inventory. So this is a huge benefit for sellers who have their own product. Sellers on eBay want to differentiate themselves. They don't want to be lost in the crowd. They want to stand out. This is a great way for them to stand out on eBay. As you can see, the URL there is off of eBay, and it is customized and SEO-friendly for this page. International selling. So this morning, Sunil talked about the potential for international selling and why international selling is important for sellers on eBay and sellers in general. International selling is a growing trend worldwide. About 40% of buyers worldwide have purchased from a seller outside their country. So there is huge potential. Even on eBay, sellers have told us that international selling is a key area of growth for them. They see this as a huge growth opportunity. If you look at the acceleration of e-commerce, most of that is happening in countries outside of the established markets. In countries outside of the established market, access to branded merchandise is fairly low in the local. So there's a huge demand for products from overseas. If you look at the internet growth, it is expanding in countries worldwide. So more buyers have access to your products now. So how do you leverage that opportunity? How do you monetize that? So eBay, via the inventory platform, is making it extremely easy for you to list in multiple countries. So from one SKU, you're able to list across multiple sites, and the quantity is managed centrally. So what does that mean? We can take a common pool of inventory and distribute it across multiple sites, and the total available quantity is managed centrally. So let's say you listed in 3 different sites from the same common pool, and transaction happens on one site. The availability in the other sites is automatically managed for you. You don't have to manually come and manage that. So there's never a chance of oversell. Now compare that to what we do today with the trading API. You can do something similar with the trading API. You can create your own listings on various sites and manage that availability manually. But if it is sold out on one site, you have to come back and adjust the availability on the other sites. Otherwise, there's always a chance of oversell. To get around these problems, what some sellers do is they underlist. Let's say they have 100 in their warehouse, they only put up 80. They get that buffer just to make sure they don't oversell. What this can result in is underselling, meaning there's enough demand for your products, but since you're not allocated enough for that channel or site, you're not selling enough. So overselling is a common problem for sellers who are multi-channel. How many times have your sellers told you about this problem? They must have complained to you about this problem all the time. The inventory platform supports a feature called real-time inventory check. The way this works is a seller can deploy an endpoint on their end, and during checkout, eBay will make a call to them to check if the quantity that they have advertised is actually available. The buyer wants to purchase a certain quantity. Do you really have that quantity to fulfill? This works really well for sellers who are not able to give us availability information frequently enough. So let's say they only update eBay once a day, but during checkout, they can tell us accurately whether it's available or not. So it really works for use cases like that, and it saves a lot of overselling issues. So the big benefit here is we have made international selling extremely easy. From one SKU, you're able to list in multiple geographies, and we have eliminated oversell issues. On the inventory platform, everything you manage is by SKU. All interactions to the entities that you're managing is by SKU. If you want to create product, if you want to update availability for fulfillment, all of that is managed by SKU. Today, in the listing world, everything is managed by listing ID. For sellers, they have to map their system SKU to a listing ID. If a listing ends, they have to remap the new ID to the SKU that they have. Since on the inventory API and the inventory platform, everything is managed by SKU, you don't have that issue of having to map your SKU to the listing ID, since all of interactions are by SKU. So to you as a developer, you are abstracted from a concept of a listing. You're only managing SKUs and inventory, and the platform takes care of managing the lifecycle of a listing. If you're sold out, you can just give us the availability. We'll take care of making the listing go away from search. If your listing ends, and after a few months you have new inventory coming, you can give us the new availability, and we'll take care of managing the lifecycle for you. We'll reinstate the listing for you if necessary, or we do the relisting for you. So you don't have to manage the lifecycle listing directly. And like I said, there's no SKU to listing ID mapping, since you're all dealing with SKU. So the big benefit here is efficiency, and you're working with industry standard concepts. Sellers are already doing this in their store or on other channels. We are bringing that industry standard way of managing inventory onto eBay. Okay. Several folks talked about this earlier. The inventory API is the programmatic access into the inventory platform. We built this REST API for you to integrate with the platform, but there are other ways of integrating it. You can use feeds. Feeds is a flat file-based integration mechanism into the platform. You give us a large dump of SKUs or inventory. We will take care of processing that. And once it's done, we'll give you back a file. So this is an asynchronous mechanism. It works really well if you're trying to move a large amount of data in and out of the platform. Today, the trading API does not work very well with the feeds platform. If you make any changes in one platform, it may not be properly reflected. So this data inconsistency problem has been around. This solves that. And the third leg is Seller Hub. Seller Hub UI will put an inventory tab for managing inventory. This product is currently in pilot. If any of you guys are interested in joining the pilot, please talk to me afterwards, or please talk to the Seller Hub folks in the audience. They can get you on that. We would love to get feedback from you. So the key benefit here is you have multiple integration options. It is one platform that has exposed 3 different endpoints and integration points for you. You can start with feeds if you have a large data set, or if you're migrating to this API, you can start with feeds. And you can make changes via the API, and you can view those changes on the UI. So all 3 will work together seamlessly. So this is a huge benefit for developers who want to use one or more of them. So depending on your use case and your needs, you can pick and choose what works best for you. And the key here is all 3 work together seamlessly. Just to reiterate all the benefits I just talked about. Persistent catalog. eBay is giving every seller who's on this platform their own product catalog. You can create your product catalog on eBay. It stays persistent. You can use it at any time and afterwards to create listings. So this is in line with industry standard ways of doing things. A lot of sellers may want to set up their catalog first, and as and when inventory comes in, they can sell. SKU is a durable entity. Listings can end, but SKUs stay. Any information tied to that SKU is persistent, whether it's sales or performance or any other activity that is tied to a SKU is persistent on eBay. So you can analyze it, track it, report on it. Even if listings end, all of this information stays. Seller branding is a key feature for sellers who own their own brand. We are providing a way for them to promote themselves on eBay as well as off eBay. This is a great feature. We are driving more traffic to their products on eBay as well as off eBay. They will get good ranking in search engines, and it is really a powerful concept for sellers who own their own brand. International selling has been made extremely easy. From one SKU, you can create listings all over, and the quantity is centrally managed. That is the big benefit here. You don't have to do any manual work. We made it extremely easy for developers to create listings across sites, and the quantity is managed by eBay. There is never a chance of oversell. And we've brought industry standard, retail standard concepts managed by SKU. That is how you manage in your own store. That is how sellers manage on other channels. We have brought that industry standard concept onto eBay. And we made it work seamlessly across any of the integration points. Whether you're using asynchronous feeds or synchronous APIs or the UI, they all talk to each other very well. Okay? So now that you've seen all the benefits of the inventory API, let's talk about what it takes to integrate with it. The inventory platform and the inventory API work on retail standards. That means a SKU is required. That is the handle to everything that you do on the platform. It works with fixed-priced GTC listings, and it requires business policies. Structured data and structured content is a common theme on the inventory platform, so it requires business policies. Business policies is a powerful way of setting up your selling preferences on eBay once and reusing them across listing times. So during listing or after you've created a listing, it is a very easy way of creating listings and changing your policies from a central location. So let's say you created a policy with a shipping cost of $2, and you have 1,000 listings that are tied to the policy. Now, if you want to change the cost, in the previous world, you had to go to each of those 1,000 listings and make those changes. But with business policies, there's just one central location where you can make that change, and it'll be impacted on all the selling. So it's a very powerful way. If you're not using it, I would strongly recommend looking at it. In addition to the basic listing capabilities, the API supports all the common features that a retail seller needs. We talked about gap of auctions, but for retail selling use cases, you have all the capabilities. It supports multi-variation listings. It also supports compatibility. Compatibility is a way of telling eBay that the product that you're selling fits different products on eBay. This is a very powerful way for buyers to find your parts and electronics. Usually, it's in those categories that it's used mostly. We also support pickup in store. The inventory API is available on all eBay sites. Anywhere you can create a listing, you can use the inventory API. Gail talked about this yesterday. The authentication is industry standard OAuth. And then it works very well with feeds and UI. So this is at a high level how the API works. So now that you've seen of the API, let me do a quick demo of how to create a listing on eBay. So there are various steps for creating a listing. The first is you set up your product catalog. You create your product on eBay. And once you've created a product, you tell us how you want to sell. An offer is really an advertisement or an ad for selling your inventory. You're telling us, okay, I want to sell this SKU on this site, and here are my policy, and here is the price. That is an offer. Once you have these two set up, you can actually go ahead and publish the offer. That creates a listing. Give us just 1 second. Okay, got it. Sorry about the delay. So let me run through a simple use case for creating a listing on eBay through this model. So here I have this product entity. I can define the aspects for the product I'm selling. In this example, I'm selling a Nikon camera. Here are the attributes for that product. I'm specifying the title and description for the product, and I'm also using the brand and MPN. So if there's a product in the eBay catalog and it's easy to reference it using either brand, MPN, or ISBN, UPC, or any of the other GTINs, and the product's catalog information will be added to your listing. So I'm specifying all of this information here, and let me use a new SKU. So you specify the SKU. The SKU is the key. And I hit send. I get back a 204 saying it did create the product for me. So this product was created, DSLR camera 6 on eBay. Now I go ahead and create an offer for this camera, for this product. So here I'm telling eBay that I want to list on eBay US. I want to list in the fixed price format. And here is what I'm going to charge for the listing. And here are my listing policies. So my payment, return, and fulfillment policies that I've previously set up. Here is what I want to list, and this is my location. So this is all the information that you need to provide if you want to create a basic, simple listing. So I'm going to go ahead and create this offer. And it did create an offer for me and gave me the offer ID. So now I can go ahead and publish this offer. Now, publishing an offer creates a listing on eBay. This is working. So it did create a listing on eBay and gave me a listing ID. So I can take this listing and go to ebay.com. ebay.com/item/. So this is the item we just created. So now, if I want to go ahead and, since there is zero quantity, I cannot purchase it. If I want to go ahead and update it, I can use the bulk update call. And my SKU was camera 6. And then my offer was. So with this call, I'm updating the price, let's say, and available quantity of this listing. As you notice, there's no direct interaction with the listing. All I'm doing is working with the SKU and the offer. So this was successful. Now if I go back to the listing and refresh it, I should see the new price and the new available quantity. Right? So you start with the product, you create your product, you create your offer, and then you publish it. You got your listing created. Now you can act on it using the SKU. You can also do, is there a get? Yep, so I had created camera 6, and the get returns me the full details of the product. It's a simple, easy-to-use interface, JSON, fairly lightweight. So within a quick couple of steps, we were able to create a listing, update it using the bulk call. Cool. Can we switch back? Can we switch back, please? Okay. So you've seen how to create a listing, the various steps. This is another area where we have simplified the interface with multi-variations. So what is a variation? So let's say you're selling these 3 shirts in this example. They're all alike. The brand is the same. The sizes are the same. The only thing that they vary on is color. And so each of these is a variation of the other. Variations or multi-variations is an efficient way for a seller to get more exposure to their inventory. For the buyer, it is a convenient way of shopping. So from one page, they're able to look at all the options that the seller has and make purchasing decisions right there on one page. Instead of pogo sticking back from between search and view item page, so from one page, they can make their purchase. We have simplified this interface. Currently, with the trading API, you build this large listing for the variation group. There's like sub-listing, which has information about each of the variants. We have decoupled a listing from the variants. So you manage variants as if they are single SKU. This is a much simpler way of dealing with multi-variations than the current model. And if you want to add SKUs to a group, or if you want to remove SKUs to a group, it is just a matter of adding them to the variation group or not, removing it from the group. So the concept of variations is now modeled using an entity called variation group. I'll talk about that in a second. If you want to update price or quantity for a single SKU, you just deal with it as if it is a single SKU. You don't have to worry about this large listing that eBay has. A little more detail about how the variation group and what the entities are. In this example, I have 3 SKUs. One is a gray shirt in medium, another is a purple in large, and a blue in medium. So these are 3 different SKUs. You handle them as if they are regular SKUs. The relationship between them is modeled as a variation group. So the variation group has information on how each of these SKUs vary on. In this example, they vary by color and size. But the rest of the information is as if they are just regular SKUs. They have offers on them. You can publish those offers. Once you publish those offers for each of the SKUs, the platform takes care of creating one single multi-SKU listing for you. You don't have to directly manage the lifecycle of these variants or the listing. The platform takes care of this for you. Today, multi-variant is one type of relationship. But in the future, you can think of bundles or any other ad hoc relationship that you can build between SKUs. It could be seasonal inventory. For example, you want all SKUs related to Halloween or Valentine's Day. So what this model allows us to do is makes the life of the developer easy, A, but B, it also sets us up for the future where you can have ad hoc and interesting grouping of variants. So any related SKUs can now be grouped ad hoc with this model. So a lot of the limitations on what you can edit on a listing, they are still around, but this model sets us up for the future where each SKU can be managed independently, and any random SKU, bunch of SKUs can be grouped together if there's some common thread or common relation between them. This is a commonly asked question. What is the difference between Inventory API and Trading API? The fundamental difference between the two is the Trading API is about listings. You manage listings by item ID. With the Inventory API, it's all by SKU. If you want to create your products, if you want to update availability, if you want to manage fulfillment, it's all done by SKU. The Trading API, as you know, is XML-based. The Inventory API is built to new standards, REST. The Inventory API also performs much better. The overall throughput via the Inventory API is much better. It's hard to make a one-to-one comparison because the steps involved in creating a listing are different. But what we have done is we've taken the most common use cases for a seller. So what is the most common action that a seller does on eBay? It is updating price and quantity. So we've taken that use case and create bulk operations out of it. So you can update the price and quantity for up to 25 SKUs at a time. I showed you in the demo, I did that just for one SKU, but you can do it for up to 12 SKUs. So overall, the end-to-end throughput with the Inventory API is much better than the Trading API. Developer manages the life cycle directly with the Trading API. If listings ends, you have to make sure you relist them. If the data is purged from eBay because it's been 90 days since the listing ended, you have to send us all of the data back again. With the Inventory API, since we have a persistent catalog, anytime a listing ends and needs to be relisted, we can pull that content out of the catalog and create the relistings for you. So you don't have to manage the lifecycle of listing directly. The platform does that for you. And for international selling and for oversell issues, we made it extremely simple. You can create multiple listings from the same SKU, and we manage the quantity and eliminate oversell issues. So that is another big difference between the two. Okay? So now that you've seen what the inventory platform is, Inventory API is, and the benefits and how to use it, you're probably thinking, wow, this is great. I want to migrate. What do I do next? I already have listings on the Trading API. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to end those listings. I don't want to lose the sales history. If that is the situation, what do I do? Where do I start? To address that problem, we launched last week this new endpoint to migrate to the new API. What this endpoint does is takes a listing from the listing world and moves it to the inventory world seamlessly. So with a click of a button, you guys can actually move the listing from the listing world to the inventory world. Since the inventory platform works on retail standard concepts like SKU and fixed price, GTC listings, and requires business policies, only listings that meet that criteria can be moved to this new world. And once you moved the listing to the inventory model, you can operate with the entities on the inventory model as if you created them from scratch. So for any entity that the system created, in this example, I show the offer ID that was created. For any entity for which the system has generated, we'll return you the IDs, and you can start operating on them. This works for single SKU as well as multi-SKU. And the nice thing is this also works for ended listings. So if you have recently ended listings, that information is not lost. We can migrate that information into the new world. So this is a very powerful feature for you guys. You can take a listing and move it from the listing world to the inventory world through this. At the moment, we are supporting 5 listings per call. We just want to make sure it's performant and there are no timeout issues. If it's performing well, we can increase the batch size, but for now, it works on 5 listings. And we're also working on a migrate all for a future use case. So for now, you can try out with this, make sure everything is looking good, and you can migrate more listings. So this is a great feature. This retains the sales history. Your listings are not ended. Any activity that happened on the listing continues to have all of that information going forward. All we are doing is, so earlier you saw how we started with the product, created the offer, and created the listing. This is actually doing the reverse. So we are starting with the listing. We are extracting all of that information out of the listing and creating those entities for you. And after that, you can just continue to work with those entities as if you created them from scratch. Okay. So this is another hot topic that Gail touched on yesterday. If you decide to stay on the trading API, so what is the future of trading API? We will continue to support the trading API. Trading API has been with us for over 15 years. It has served our developer community, our sellers, and the eBay company really well. And there's a lot of business that runs on the trading API. So the trading API will continue to be supported. That said, all new capabilities and functionalities will be on the inventory API. We will continue to enhance the trading API, but only for security updates, or if there's any eBay company policy mandates. But we'd really recommend that you move to the inventory API when feasible, and we'd strongly recommend any new applications be built on the inventory API. The choice is very clear. The inventory API is built to retail standards, easy to code, there's a lot of benefits. That is the future of professional selling on eBay. So the choice is very clear. All new applications, we would strongly recommend that you build on the inventory API. Obviously, there are exceptions where there are feature gaps, like auctions is not there. There may be other feature gaps. But for all other cases, we would like you to build new applications on the inventory API.